Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of the Coach U Show, where we interview entrepreneurs on how they achieve their success. Today, we have Brandon Gratini, who is an expert TV mounting guy. And before he was in financial services, but now because he's successful and he knows how to mount TVs, he's teaching other people how to mount TVs. Hey, Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dennis. Glad to be here.
Why TV mounting?
You know, it started, so I was a CFO of a company and I quit my job with the intent of taking 2 years off to live out a non-compete. And 2 months into it, I got really bored. And TV mounting really was just, I wanted to kind of get into the home service industry, but I'm not a handy person. I never even owned tools. I've never hung a TV in my life, but it was something that I felt there was like a low barrier to entry, but there was some high margin opportunities in there if you could do it. So I was like, let me give this a whirl and see if I can do it. And yeah, I started from there.
So I had to do a search on the number of people that are searching for TV mounting. And I found that at the beginning of COVID, it was low, but then more people were watching TV and buying TVs because they were at home. And then it sort of fell off a little bit, but it's still way higher than it was a couple of years ago. And people are getting bigger and bigger TVs. And consumers think that mounting a TV is difficult, especially ones that are over 50 inches. But of all the people that are doing TV mounting services, it seems like there's a huge opportunity and it's quite lucrative to make a couple $100s or a few $100s just for 30 minutes of work without a ton of tools and a ton of training.
Yeah, that's about right. Our base prices really started about $200 for a standard service into drywall. It's going to take about 25, 35 minutes of work to do it. But where we make our real money is the outlier cases. 40% of our customers actually hang their TV above a fireplace, and that gets really scary for them. And then we've got about another 20% of our customers that hang their TVs into harder surfaces like brick, tile, stone, concrete, things like that. Yeah. And we can charge a lot more for those types of services.
Do you have any ancillary or rev share revenue from partnering with other home service companies? Because once you're in the house, I imagine you're going to find lots of other things that you can refer.
So, you know, people ask all the time, and I don't have anybody like in my pocket that I feel good about referring right now. I think something I need to improve on is kind of connecting more with those local home service companies, because I don't want to just put my name on anybody. I think, you know, we hold our service to a high standard, and I just want to make sure that anybody I referred is somebody that's going to kind of do the same. I did just have a custom builder refer a customer to me, and I'm doing follow up with them, showed them pictures of the work we did. They reached out to the customer and found they were happy. So I'm hoping we can do some sort of partnership with that company.
Yeah. Would you say that the hardest part of running a TV install business is the marketing, the driving leads?
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing for every business, right? I mean, you gotta, most businesses, from my experience in, business as a CFO, the number one problem that I see is people don't necessarily know where their next customer is coming from. So yeah, it becomes all about marketing and lead generation. And then it's also what you do with that lead once you have it. Because, you can, sometimes people want to just get more leads into their system, but if they're not closing at a high enough rate, you're really just spending more money on more leads. And your focus needs to be on, how you can better close the ones you do have.
Yeah, especially because GMB, Google My Business, which is now Google Business Profile, part of your rating and ranking is how quickly you answer the phone. So when you answer that phone call and you do that consistently for the first few weeks, Google will move you up in the local 3-pack, which is the map results, which I imagine is where you're starting to get a lot more traffic for Detroit related, the suburbs within Detroit for TV mounting.
Yeah, that's where a lot of our business comes from. So we've done, or I say we, it's really me, but I still speak for the company. We try to do a lot with GMB. I fall off a little bit, but I do really well when I'm posting the photos. I do well when I'm posting updates. And yes, when you're answering the phone. But, from what we found is the number one thing to generate the leads through GMB is the positive reviews. So we have a review sequence that goes out to all of our customers, and about 40% of our customers leave us a review.
40%. That is good. The average is less than 10.
Yeah.
So having to follow up or even ask him on the spot. Do you have a process where maybe when you're done with the mounting and you show the customer, hey, check it out, what do you think? And they're happy. You can say, hey, if you don't mind, I would love to get a 15-second social media video, and even though you're the owner, you don't have to say that, but you could say, part of my compensation is being able to collect these reviews, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's definitely something I need to get into. I actually have an installer that does most of the work for me now, so I'm not in as many homes as when I first started it. But part of our process is to let them know when we arrive that our goal today is to provide 5-star service. So we're kind of implanting it from the time we arrive, the whole 5-star method. And yes, we do need to take it to the next level and generate some sort of video or testimonial from the customer directly. One thing we also see a big return on is when the customer actually posts the photo with their review, we tend to get a pretty big lift from that.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because it's user generated. I think it just feels more natural to the algorithms that this is the user posting it. It's not just an owner. It seems, it is very real. I mean, all of our reviews are real, but when they come from the user, I think those are the biggest ones.
Yeah. And it's way more credible too, to come from the user, because when you see somebody with, 35-star reviews and they're all 5 stars, you wonder if they're real or not.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about taking the reviews that you get, that customers have, taking a screenshot and literally just reposting that, thanking them on Twitter, thanking them on Facebook, thanking them on other socials?
So I have not thought of that specifically. I do respond to every review, and every now and again, I will take a screenshot and kind of post it on Instagram or something like that, or use it in a Facebook post, but never so far have I directly used that and then tagged or thanked a customer that way.
Yeah. And Brandon, you're in our $1 a day program. So you know that when you take the feedback of a customer, which is way more credible than whatever you have to say about yourself, take a screenshot of that, not copy the text, but actually take a screenshot of that. And then you post that on another social, and then you boost that for $1 a day. That causes other people in the neighborhood, maybe even people that are friends with that person, to recognize that person when you're targeting just that neighborhood. And it often will drive a 20-30% click-through rate, because people will recognize, oh, that's Sally. Oh, that's Jonathan. I know Jonathan. But who's this Brandon guy? But next time they buy a TV, they're going to remember who that was.
That's a great tip. I'm definitely going to start using that.
Because it's just word of mouth, right? You do a good job. And any of us that are in local services or any kind of professional business, we're good at what we do. But as you mentioned, the marketing part is not leveraging the feedback and what people have to say about you, letting them do the work for you, basically.
Yeah, that's great.
So you did some boosts of some of your just basic installs, a little behind the scenes. Talk about what happened there.
Yeah, so it was huge. I talked about video for the last couple of years, that I wanted to get into video, and video freaked me out. I think it freaks a lot of people out, and I wasn't really sure what to do. But after joining $1 a day and kind of working with you, it was more or less like, listen, just throw it out there, put something up, don't make it all fancy and pretty, don't worry about that. So I recorded a couple little videos, and even after looking at them, I was almost embarrassed to put them up, but I threw them up there. I did a little boost, and lo and behold, they work. I mean, I'd struggled for I turned off all of my Facebook and Instagram advertising just because I'd really struggled with it. And it wasn't worth it. I'd spend money and there was literally nothing coming in from it. And this, 1 week of posting videos and doing $1 a day against it, I think I had 7 phone calls within the first, 5 to 7 days that came all from Instagram. And I thought that was just obviously gave me a lot more confidence that even though these videos weren't great, just keep, throwing stuff up there. So I'm definitely going to continue with that.
So you're not a professional videographer with the $50,000 red camera and cinema Hollywood training.
Dennis Yu style, man. I just go with the smartphone. I got the iPhone, and I just hooked that up, shot a couple videos, and minute 2 minutes long, and just posted them.
Yeah, amen. And that's what it is. And all of us that are local service businesses, whether or not we are buying Brandon's course to be able to start a TV mounting business, can learn from the same. Because people are evaluating you on how trustworthy you are, not on whether you're shooting in 4K or not. And that took me a long time to learn, because I thought that you had to have perfect lighting and your hair had to be nice and you need, but those things actually don't even matter. Some of the most awful videos from a production standpoint, or I didn't say the words exactly right, or I stuttered, are the ones that driven me the most business. So I know that's the case for you and everyone else. The results that you happen to drive, getting 5, 6, 7 calls in a week is a little atypical. Usually it takes a few weeks to be able to build up that kind of trust. Depends on the market, depends on how well known you are and these kinds of things. But congratulations, Brandon. I'm super proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, again, thanks for all the coaching and the nudging.
So for those who don't know, and they want to start a business, they're not sure what kind, and they see that they could start a pressure washing business, like another Brandon in our coaching program, or they want to start a TV mounting business. What do they need to know about your program?
So I think for me, again, it's something that it doesn't take a lot of skill to do. Again, I didn't even own tools until I got my first customer. So that was, something important to me, was not spend a lot of money out of pocket. There's a lot of programs out there where you're going to invest a lot of money and then you're hopeful that, fingers crossed that you like it. There's fingers crossed that you actually can execute it. But, what I teach is, listen, this isn't for everybody by any means, but if a white collar guy like me who never owned tools and never hung a TV can watch 18 minutes of YouTube videos and, start a business that does 6 figures a year in revenue, then pretty much anybody can do that. I'm not a handy person by any means. So a lot of it was really just setting up the structure of it all in terms of a GMB. Like, that's how I started. I did GMB, kind of work through that, optimize my profile there. And then, once the phone rang and you get a customer, then I was like, okay, I really have to go buy the tools now and figure out how to do this. Yeah.
Amen. Because with Google knows intent. Google knows when someone just bought a TV. Google knows when someone types in, how do I mount a TV? And then you show yourself mounting the TV. They're like, you know what? I'm going to hire Brandon rather than try to mess with it. And, it's an expensive 75-inch Sony TV. I might break it. It might fall. I'd rather just pay a professional to do it. But the funny thing is that, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not like being a plumber or an electrician where you have to go to a trade school and go through months and months of training. This is something where with just a very simple set of training and very simple set of tools, you can be in business and be charging $200-$300 each job. So it's a matter of marketing and running that business.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was pretty fast. I think pretty much anybody can, get their first customer within 30 days, and it took me, I think, about a year and a half to get to 6 figures a year. And I actually have another student down in Georgia doing the same, pretty close to the same thing. He's kept his day job and he's doing $4,000 a month on the side. And he went from $400 a month short on his bills, and that's kind of how I kind of started him up on this long distance. And I just coached him through it all. And yeah, he's making $4,000 a month right now on the side. He's happy as can be. And his gross revenue is close to his gross profit because he doesn't have a cost of goods sold. Yeah, he's got nothing. He spends $0 in advertising. He does all the mounting himself, so he doesn't have any labor. So yeah, his is almost 100%. That is incredible. I was doing some research. I'm not sure how accurate it was, but I want to know, how much does the average TV hanging business technician make? And I saw it was $114,000 across the United States, which works out to about $60 an hour. But if they're fully occupied, I mean, obviously you're not going to, have 10 jobs in a day all by yourself. But if you were, and you're making $200 every 30 minutes and it took you negligible time to drive between the different jobs, that is almost $2,000 a day. Yeah, it can be pretty significant. We've definitely 5 days a week, $10,000 a week if you're fully booked. And if you had 2 other technicians that were doing that for you and all you did was run the ads, technically you wouldn't have to do anything except just answer the phone or even have a VA answer the phone for you. Yeah, that's the goal for me, right? I still have my full-time job. So I do pay somebody to do the work for me. I pay them very well because you need somebody that you can trust, somebody that's going to show up on time and follow all of your brand standards. But yeah, absolutely. That's the goal for us is, keep him busy full-time. He makes a full-time income right now working part-time, but the goal is to get him up to full-time and then really adding in another person after that. Yeah. How do you find the right technicians? I think I just got lucky. I wish I knew that, specific answer, but I think you have to have somebody, you have to treat people well, number one, in any business. If you're going to hire people, you have to treat people well. I think you have to let people know what you're looking for. And I think you can, try to attract some people within your network that way. It's kind of how I found my guy right now. He came through my network, but he was somebody that was, doing some gig work just as a door dasher. And, a mutual friend was like, hey, you should go talk to my friend Brandon. He's hanging TVs looking for somebody, and you can make a lot more money and, not be driving around all day.
Yeah.
So I met him, made sure that, he was, a good guy. We do background checks. So we want to make sure somebody can, be in somebody's home, but somebody that, is well, they don't have to be super professional, but they have to just be friendly. People are trusting us in their home. So you want to just make sure that you're going to be trustworthy. That person's going to be trustworthy to put in somebody's home. They're going to take care of the customer, do a good job, smile, be friendly, pet the dog, say hi to the kids, things like that.
You require them to wear your logo on a collared shirt?
I do. Yeah.
But you don't have a van or anything like.
No van. No, I do. My uniform is really just, I have t-shirts and polo shirts, and they're logoed. And that's what, we wear when we walk into a home. We did not do that day one either. Like, those are things that you just kind of, when you bootstrap it and start from zero, like, I walked in just with khaki shorts and a blue shirt. And then I evolved into, okay, now I want t-shirts and then golf shirts.
Well, it looks nice though. Just that little touch to be a little bit more professional makes all that difference. Especially with referrals. What do you do about driving more referrals? I think we don't really have a full-fledged system to drive referrals. When we close customers, they do go into our follow-up sequence. And at some point they will get an email, right away, they get an email asking for the review, and then just asking, to keep us in mind if they have any friends or family. And then there's another email sequence that goes out a few months later just to remind them. It's a 3-month check-in, 6-month check-in, things like that, where I just kind of softly ask for those referrals. We actually get more repeat business than I think I get referrals, which was surprising to me, because TVs, the one downside about this, like you mentioned pressure washing, and I always said that if I ever did this over again, I might start a pressure washing business because there's more opportunity for recurring revenue. When someone buys a TV, you're looking at another 3 to 5 years before they're ever going to buy another one. So we don't get a lot of that recurring business. But believe it or not, I'm surprised at how much recurring business, repeat business we do get from our customers. And it makes me feel really good that they're happy and that we are doing a good job, because it is a rare thing. Most of our customers come from someone who just moved into a new home, which was also a shock to me. I initially thought that it was just going to be somebody who bought a new TV, but number one is somebody who moved into a new home and they totally forgot about hanging the TVs. So they're like unpacking and they're like, we need somebody to come hang these TVs. And then the second biggest market really is somebody who bought the new TV. And then people who are upgrading their TVs, partly as part of a move. Why bring that big thing when I get a new one from Costco? I saw, I think, an 80-inch Sony TV for under $2,000 at Costco the other day. Incredible. And I paid $6,000 for a 50-inch TV 15 years ago. And it wasn't even all that fancy. It wasn't 4K or anything like that. And I see a lot of people have many TVs, not just in their living room, but in their kitchen, in their bedroom. Now, because of COVID or whatever, they've started a business. They need a big TV in their studio or in their office. How many TVs do you have in your house?
I think I'm in the 5 range.
Okay.
I have one in my office here. I have a bedroom, 2 exercise room, and then living room. Maybe I have 4 TVs. 1, 2, 3, 4 TVs for me.
I think I have 8, and just 4 in our studio alone that are 60-inch TVs.
Okay.
Which I think, pretty much everyone I know has many, many TVs.
Yeah. And when they move, that's a big thing. Somebody moves and it feels like we're doing a minimum of 3. Otherwise, they'll have us just do them over the fireplace because that's the one they're most worried about.
Yeah. Are there things you wish you had known before you started the TV mounting business?
Oh, man. There's probably things that pop up all the time that I'd wish I'd known. I mean, I think over it's been about just over 2 years now. And, I've got my toolkit kind of narrowed down so it becomes much more efficient. You learn a lot sort of running into these tricky cases because you think everything's going to be simple until you go fish a wire down a wall and there's a, sideways 2x4 and you can't get it through. So you're always like, something always comes up, it feels like. And, when you're not a, handy person by complete background, it kind of throws you for a loop and you got to do some problem solving. So always good to go to good old YouTube, which again ties back into the whole video thing here.
Yeah.
So, that's something I guess I never really thought about, the whole recurring revenue piece of it all. So one thing that I did to try to figure out how to increase more revenue is I became an authorized dealer for Samsung and Sony TVs. And then I'm also authorized to sell different brands like Sonos that people are familiar with.
All right. In wall
Now
systems.
I'm getting into, selling television. So when somebody calls in, I ask them, do you already have the TV? Because we're a dealer of Samsung and Sony. And, on a $2,000 TV, we can make about a $400 margin just on that. Plus now that I'm selling you the service. So
Nice.
that was just, I wish I would have maybe thought about that a little bit sooner, because there's a lot of people that, call us, want their TV mounted, but they still haven't even ordered the TV. So now I'm starting to take advantage of that and make some more money just on the product.
Brandon, how hard is it to be an authorized Samsung dealer?
It's not very hard at all. I took, they all have local distributors. So I just looked up like local distributors.
Yeah.
And, you have to fill out an application. You have to be a legitimate business. You have to have insurance, things like this, to make sure everything's real. An individual can't just become one.
Right.
But I think it took me about 15 minutes of paperwork. And then the local person that I work with kind of sends that all off to, the different brands. And once I'm approved, they just kind of let me know I'm approved. And then I order right through them and I get my dealer pricing right through them.
And even if you didn't sell any TVs, it's a huge trust mark to put on your website and your other areas that you're an authorized dealer.
And it's only the big brands. So it's really good, to be associated with, quality brands.
Yeah. Are there questions that you wished people asked you? Because you coach a lot of people in starting this TV mounting business.
I actually just wish more people, I wish more people didn't have the limiting belief, and I think, again, going back to when I started this, I'm not a handy person. And I just
an entrepreneur, you mean?
Yeah. I think everybody's, they get into their head. I think people spend a lot of time trying to learn what to do and not enough time taking action. And I think it's the same in everything, along the way. I think, dollar a day was a perfect example. I mean, it was hard for me to make video. I'd put it off for years. But, what you find always is once you take action, that's when the movement starts. And, not everything's going to happen right away. Again, my videos are terrible, but once you start to look at them, you get more comfortable. And then you're like, okay, now I can do this and now I can do that. So I really think overall, I wish people would get that limiting belief out of their head that they can't do it. As far as, what we do, more people probably just need to ask more. They want to try to hurry up. To me, I've always played the long game, right? There's not a lot of things to me that are get rich quick. And I absolutely hate when people talk about passive income,
right?
Because even in most contexts, even passive income takes a lot of work outside of, a dividend paying stock. There isn't much passive income out there. So I think people are always looking for the magic bullet and, they want to try to find the fastest way to do something. And to me, it's a long game that you have to play. And the long game is going to always win, in my opinion. And even when you've got tools like AI, coming out and everybody's using this AI, and I just sit back and laugh because I'm smiling going, it's the relationship that's going to win in the end. Something's going to catch. I remember Google slaps back in the day with AdWords and, something's always going to catch up. So you can get all this speed and that you want today, but something's going to change. And if you haven't really built the time tested, principles and foundations of your business, of relationships, of all these different things, then you're going to lose in the end. And I love when people kind of race to all these fancy little tricks and tools and try to game the system or scam the system. Cause I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to continue to go at the pace that I'm going. And eventually everybody else is going to start to fall out. And I'm just going to keep rising to the top higher and higher.
Amazing. I love your viewpoint about how business is relationships. It's not one-off shortcuts. And the irony of how much effort it is to have passive income, the catch-22 of that. And the fact that you are putting in the effort to take care of these customers, to hang these TVs, to get the reviews, to build the website, to build relationships, to build remarketing sequences, to do dollar a day. I've seen probably 10,000 people go through our dollar a day program. And you know what the number one reason is for failure?
Lack of execution is my guess, right?
Yeah. It wasn't because they did dollar a day wrong. It was because they didn't even make the videos to begin with. And so, from your direct firsthand experience, just like in starting a business, just like in helping all these other people start their TV mounting businesses, It's really just a matter of following through on those simple little tasks, like making those 1-minute videos, setting up your DBA, getting your insurance, making sure you show up on time. Dollar a day, as you saw, is not a magical technique. It is taking the work that you're doing as you're on the job, as you're collecting positive feedback and putting it on the internet for other people to see. You just happen to have to pay Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and these other guys for distribution, just like you pay for FedEx or UPS or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you take that attitude just to take action, and that's why you're succeeding. Anyone that's watching, I hope that you follow Brandon's example to realize it's actually more about taking action than it is about spending months and months and months trying to study and trying to get the perfect answer and trying to know everything before you take that first step.
You're never going to be perfect, especially on your first try. So, you just got to put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Amen. And good job on you on ranking on Google. I mean, who would have thought someone could go from a big time CFO position to a completely different blue collar hanging TV? I mean, I put TV mounting in the same bucket as like oil changing and, fixing toilets and that kind of thing that people never think about as a career, but is actually quite lucrative in the trades.
Yeah. And, again, almost anyone can do it. I mean, it's a simple thing to get going. It's a very inexpensive thing to start up, and you can really start getting your first customer within 30 days. I mean, It's going to take you a little bit of time to just, and by a little bit, we're talking like a day to set up your GMB. And then you're just going to wait on the postcard verification to come through is kind of like the longest piece. And once you have that going, you can go get a customer, go help a friend hang a TV and take a picture. It's a great way to start getting your first testimonial, your first photo is to go help a friend.
And you don't even need to have an office either. With GMB, you can have a local service area business where you just serve Chicago or you just serve Detroit and people don't see your office. They don't need to see an office because you visit them.
Absolutely. And I do have people that ask, if there's a gallery they can come look at, and I don't have one. It's a home-based business for me. But yeah, you don't need much to start this thing up. It's really, we're talking, if you already had tools, you're talking about a couple $100. I mean, it cost me less than $1,000 to go buy all of the tools because I literally had nothing. I'm not a handy person.
Yeah. Congrats, dude. So proud of you. Brandon, Thanks. How do people find you?
They can just find me on, I guess, Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, Brandon Gratini.
Awesome. Brandon Gratini, thank you for being on the Coach U Show. Thank you for helping other entrepreneurs be able to find their careers and take action following in your footsteps.
Thanks for $1 a day, Dennis. Appreciate everything you do for the community.
You're the best. We'll see you on Wednesday.